About to say, Q, I can't hear you at all.
I can hear me now.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, my bad. I said, it's been a day on here when there's 200 people here and we haven't even started to show off. I got the homie Kobe here to talk about what is going on with the Cleveland Browns, Myles Garrett, and this potential trade request. I don't know where we want to start with this because this has layers, and I hope people understand. It ain't even really started yet. Like, I can see this thing going for a very long time. Like, I don't know. Like, this don't feel like something they're going to just handle when the start of the new league year happens. Because the way I see it, I have had a lot of thoughts since waking up to this news. Thank you, Browns, for ruining my morning, by the way. I thought it was going to be a good week, Cole. I'm like, you know what? Senior Bowl behind me. I'm finally back home. I'm in my place. I'm in my studio again. Thought I was going to have a good week. Browns hit me with this. This one, the Browns have almost no reason to do this, right? To trade him, other than he don't want to be here no more. And I do wonder in today's NFL, how much power does that have when that dude who don't want to be here, like this ain't like I've talked about David Njoku did this, he stayed, or Trey Hendrickson last year did this, he stayed, but it's a little bit different when it's the best player on the team, the franchise player on the team, basically saying, hey man, I don't think I can win a championship here.
I'm just like, I'm not gonna lie to you, Q. And you know me, I was feeling real good for like the last 48 hours. You know what I'm saying? I was feeling real good. I was feeling pretty untouchable. You know what I mean? Luka Doncic gets traded to the Lakers. I'm like, oh yeah, there's absolutely nothing that can bring me down. And then
don't test the universe like that.
It's like, you know what the worst part is? I was talking so much shit too because I was like, man, imagine losing the face of your franchise.
Oh,
that must really suck.
Yeah.
And then we get the Myles Garrett trade request. Bro, I've been thinking about it since it happened. And I think the universal reaction to this point has been like, everybody's kind of siding with Myles on this. And I find that to be kind of like...
I don't find that a shock.
No, it's not a shock. I think that's an indictment on the franchise.
Well, I think that has everything to do with the fact that you're the team that traded for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, like everybody's just like, no, we get it. We get it.
The Browns haven't had the benefit of the doubt of the public since they traded for Deshaun Watson and gave him a fully guaranteed contract. So, like, that's just part of that to me. Right, that people are going to take Myles' side because the picture outside of Cleveland, the Cleveland Browns, is way darker than like even the picture that we have here locally. So I get why people would take Myles' side, and in general, people tend to side with the player as long as the team is not known for being good. Right, like if the team is anywhere below Baltimore in the championship contender stand, people will usually be like, yeah, he should leave. Screw that organization. Now somebody start trying to leave like a good team, then they get roasted. But yeah, that's, I think, part of the calculus that Myles Garrett has right now, which is he knows he's going to have the public opinion on his side. This is going to be a battle though. Like it's going to get nasty. Like that's the reality of this. Because the Browns are not going to just trade him. And Myles seems to be adamant, right? Or at least as adamant as you can be. This is more than just, I went to my agent and said I requested a trade. My man drafted a letter. We said this was done when Baker Mayfield did it, right? Now, Myles Garrett, order of magnitude better of a player than Baker Mayfield. So you're willing to overlook this if things can be mended in a way that you weren't willing to do with Baker Mayfield. But this is not good, right? Like there's no, this isn't a big deal about this whole thing, right? Like he had the little, like, it was almost like reading the diss track response, the way he flipped that Cleveland to Canton line on Andrew Berry. It's not very, it doesn't look great, like if you're the Browns. And at this point, I don't know what you do. And like, I'm not in their head. I don't know how far they think they are on this, right? This might be, to them, they're like, oh, he wants max money. I don't know why this would be a debate if he wanted max money. So like, I find it hard to believe it's about the contract or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
I think this is just, he does want to win a championship. He realizes he's 29. He's about to be 30 soon. I don't think Myles wants to play until he's 40. And he's feeling like he's losing. And it's not just about winning a championship too, Cole. He wants to be one of the best players on a championship team.
Yes.
Right? There's a difference between winning a championship and being a huge part of why a team won a championship. When he says he needs this for his legacy, that's what he's saying. I want to be one of the best players on a championship team. You don't want to be 40-year-old Myles Garrett rolling around when when the Chiefs get like ring number 85 or whatever they're going to be on. He wants to win a ring when he knows he could be one of the best players in the league. And that proposes a problem for him and the Browns, because who you going to trade with that's a top tier team in the AFC that got anything you want that's going to return from Myles Garrett? And the Browns are in a position where they don't really got to do nothing because they have 4 years of control on him.
Basically, so he's 2 years left on his deal, and they can franchise him twice. So they don't like the Browns have all the leverage here. Like I hate to be the guy who says it, but like they have every single bit of leverage in this situation. They don't have to do anything. What's he going to do? Sit out 2 years? What is he going to do?
He wants to win a Super Bowl, so like you're not going to win a Super Bowl and chilling, right? Not doing nothing. And look, he saw what sitting out 2 years could do to a player. Okay. Hey, nobody in Berea about to be like, yeah, just sit out the 2, Myles. That's gonna go well. Nah, man, Deshaun used to be that guy. Deshaun used to be that guy, and now he's not. And part of the reason is he sat out a couple of years. So
it's just I don't know. I don't know what he's. I mean, I know what he wants, but it's just like I don't know how we get you there, brother. Like I really don't know the best path forward in a trade for you. I really don't.
I put on Blue Sky. I was like, the only trade that I could be like, you know what? It's awkward. I can live with it. I gotta get 3 first-round picks. I gotta get either a late second or early third, and I need a 5th-round pick swap. Or not 5th round, a day 3 pick swap. And I need a player under 30 who's been to multiple Pro Bowls. Not like the technical Pro Bowl shit. Like I'm not trying to get Tyler Huntley. Like I need an actual high caliber player. Not asking for a Myles back, but something similar along that regard. And I think I can live with it. I think we're gonna get crazy proposals, Cole. You might hear that somebody might be willing to move up. Well, not move up, but willing to grab Myles at expense of like the 49ers is the one I heard where they're not really sold on extending Brock Purdy. So maybe they would want to send us Brock in some kind of elaborate package to get Myles Garrett, and that the Browns might do it because it does give them an answer at quarterback, at least for the time being. I'm really hesitant on doing any kind of crazy move for a quarterback though right now, because brother, we about to lose Myles because of a crazy move that we made at quarterback.
Can we talk about that? Can we talk about, because this is something that we have to acknowledge just right off the bat. We have to acknowledge we got here because of the Deshaun Watson trade. That is the, like, if you're plotting like how did we get here? Like how did we get to the point where the best player to play for the Cleveland Browns since the team came back asking for a trade? It's that trade.
I would say I don't think it's exclusively, because I think if it was just Deshaun playing bad, then I don't think Myles requests a trade. This is where I have to go back and say I might have been wrong on something. I think it has something to do with turning the keys over to Deshaun this offseason. Like last offseason, right? When the Browns made the decision, hey, we're going to see what we got in Deshaun. And they basically hit the brakes on all the progress they made in 2023 to make Deshaun comfortable. And then it turned out that bad. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, right? If it had just been Deshaun went out there, stunk, and then we had brought Joe Flacco off the bench, or, Jacoby Brissett off the bench and went 7-10, I think we'd be fine right now, because everybody would say, well, the dude stinks. We gave it 3 years. The dude stinks. And then maybe some Deshaun Watson stands would be sitting here talking about, well, you didn't give him an offense. And we would live in a world where that would be an excuse still for Deshaun. And we'd be like, okay, well, somebody could sign him off waivers in 2 years and then see if he can work in a different offense. But I think you would have been fine. I think once you went as far as to like, because that seems to be the thing that rubbed everybody the wrong way.
Yeah.
From in red is that they fired Alex Van Pelt, got rid of Stump, and internally, that seemed to be a very divisive move within the people in that locker room. And I think Myles was like, that was one of the main, like let's be real here. He's only not about to be a unanimous 2-time defensive player of the year. And he still might get that award, by the way, but he's only not going to be a unanimous 2-time defensive player of the year. Simply because the Browns won 3 games. That's the only knock that people have against Myles Garrett. The Browns just didn't win enough. That's the only argument. Like, if they had just won 8 games, he'd be fine. But they didn't even win enough for him to get that. So that makes him have to make a decision like, okay, well, like, I can't even get the individual stuff here. If this is how they're going to rock, they made their big swing at quarterback. It did not work out. And look, Myles is realistic the same way I'm realistic about it. There's no fix for the quarterback this year. So he knows you got to at least wait till 2026. And if you're about to get a quarterback in 2026, you got to say the quiet part out loud. You might not win many games in 2025.
You're telling me you don't want to bet it all on Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward or
hell no. I've been pretty adamant about this, right?
What about Jalen Milroe? Q, you want to bet?
Oh,
you want to bet it on him?
Dog, I'm day 3 on pretty much every quarterback. You can convince me Will Howard if you trade back from 60 something. Like that's the one dude I'm like, man, you want to throw a flyer at Will Howard because like Will Howard at least gonna be a backup. I feel pretty confident about that. He's gonna be a good backup quarterback. I don't know if he's gonna be a great starter, but like, he might be able to get you across a rough year, whatever it is. That's worth a third. But yeah, I'm not into. I don't see Cam Ward as somebody that I have the faith of being like. Everybody want Jaden Daniels, and you think you could just because you draft the quarterback at 2 is Jaden Daniels. That ain't how you got Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was Jaden Daniels, right? Like, and we're not even coming close to a prospect like that. Like, honestly, you could get a prospect as good as Shedeur, as good as Cam, late in the first round next year in next year's class, as deep as that class looks like it's going to be at quarterback or 2027. So it makes no sense. It never made any sense to draft the quarterback at 2. Now, I don't know how Myles felt about quarterback. I know him and Shedeur both from Texas, so maybe he's a big Shedeur fan, and he got the word that the Browns ain't trying to do it, and Shedeur ain't trying to do it. So that's what spurred this whole thing. I don't know, right? But what we do know about this whole situation is Myles don't want to be here because he does not feel like he can win a championship. And that reasoning for it makes shit awkward, Cole. If this were just about money, it wouldn't be awkward. Because players understand that. Oh, you just want some bread. He'll be back when he get his money. Players will be in the locker room saying, yeah, we need to get Myles what he needs, right? But when you say, hey, man, I can't win here, you're also saying, whether it's directly or not, to the other 52 dudes in that locker room, I can't win with y'all. And that's where this gets awkward, right? You're saying, like, whether indirectly or not, you're saying that about Kevin. You're saying that about everybody in that building. I can't win with y'all. So how do you come back from that? It's the question. And again, if he were just a regular player, it wouldn't be a problem. This is one of the leaders of the team saying, I can't win with y'all. The scope of that cannot be misunderstood. It simply can't. It's a massive implication. And I haven't heard enough people talk about that because, like, I would love to live in a world, Cole, and you know me, I don't want to do this. I'm not feel bad for me, Browns fan. I don't like that shit. But I have to be real here. The implication here is awful for the organization. And for Myles, this is as close to a can't come back moment as you can get. But the problem is, ain't no way you going to trade this dude.
Yeah, I was about to say he's the one player who can get away with that because he is the best defensive player in the NFL.
Well, he'll get away with it, but dog, that shit's gonna never leave people's minds. Like,
and after a 3-14 season, like I kind of can't even like.
Yeah, I mean,
be super upset about it.
This way, it's easy for us to feel this way. I get it.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not upset. Like, I saw this come down, and I said this in a video I released this like a couple hours ago on my channel. I felt the same way when I read that letter that I felt when I got the text that Deshaun got traded to Cleveland. And what I mean by that is when Deshaun got traded here, I was not excited. I didn't want him to get traded here just because the legal stuff. I didn't anticipate he would be this bad. I thought he'd be fine as a player. I just felt like it wasn't going to be worth it. And personally, didn't want to be tied to Deshaun Watson, right? Like in any manner. But okay, you make the move. And I remember thinking, well, this is not going to be fun. And from here on out, whatever happens with Myles, I'm telling y'all, this is not going to be fun.
No, not at all.
Like, all the fun got zapped. He's going to play next year on the Cleveland Browns. I feel pretty confident because, again, ain't nobody got enough to offer. Now, if 2026 comes around and somebody decides, hey, I have a top something pick and the Browns need a quarterback, okay, now there's ammunition for the Browns to make a move, right, in the 2026 offseason. But in this offseason, there's just no ammunition. There's no reason for the Browns to make this move. They know Myles is going to play on that contract. So it's going to be really awkward. I think this move gets done next offseason because I think the Browns record is going to be whatever it is. They could make the playoffs next year. They could not. They could win 7 games. They could win 3 games again. I don't know if Andrew Berry survives this, if he ends up having to trade with Myles. Like, I think in order for Andrew to survive this, you probably got to win 11, 12 games next year. And don't know about that. But I don't think the Browns are going to trade Myles until they think that trade can land them a chance to go get a quarterback. And they're not going to do that until they know what picks they're trading for. And they don't need to trade for a pick this year. So, because they got the number 2 pick. If they wanted a quarterback, they could take one. Well, if they wanted, if they thought that one of these quarterbacks were worth the number 2 overall pick, they would take one. But I think this happens 2026 or 2027 where the Browns see an opportunity to go get them a top overall pick. And Myles can get you that, right? Like, I think a lot of teams would trade that for Myles, especially a team that feels like they're there by accident, which happens every year, right? The 49ers have a top pick. The Jaguars feel like they're in that kind of class of team. There's going to be a team with the quarterback that feels like they're there by accident. So they're going to want to make that move for Myles.
I'm glad you brought up the Jaguars because I want to throw something out. Like I said, I've been thinking about this as it happened. Been reading different thoughts from different people who cover the Browns about what the Browns do. How do we get out of here? What's the best path forward? I'll preface what I'm about to say by saying this. I do not want to trade Myles Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It doesn't matter how many picks you get, even if they're premium picks. The chances of you drafting a player outside of getting a franchise quarterback that's as talented and impactful as Myles Garrett is slim to none. I'm just going to say that now.
Yeah.
But I do think if a certain package of picks was presented, You gotta at least consider it.
What's
And I mean, like, seriously consider it. So let's take a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars, for example.
Okay.
If they want Myles, what pick do they have this year? They have the fifth
somewhere
pick?
in the 8th. Yeah.
It's like 5th pick, right? I think that's what they have.
I think they got like the 8th.
Nah, they're not that low.
It was like one of those years where there was a ton of tiebreakers.
Because I thought it was Tennessee, us.
Jacksonville has the 5th. Yeah, you were right.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was like, the 5th pick. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So if let's say they offered 5th pick this year, another first next year. Say they offer a 2nd this year, and like Trayvon Walker or Josh Allen. Pick one. Pick whoever. Pick whoever. Would you consider it?
I would consider it, but honestly, I don't really care for having the 5th pick this year. Right? Like, and my reasoning behind that is, if I trade Myles, I want to swing at a quarterback with that pick I get from Myles. That's the only way you're going to win that. And fair. I'm not swinging at 5 at a quarterback still. And likely both the guys that people are even thinking you want to be crazy for swinging at would be gone by 5. Mm-hmm. I would want to, I would consider that trade if you shift it after the draft or after the trade or towards the trade deadline. If you know, hey, Jacksonville's going to suck this year, so their pick's probably going to be pretty good, or Jacksonville did suck, so their pick in 2026 is going to be top whatever, right? And you feel like there are 4 guys that you can take at that spot at the quarterback position to go ahead and solve that answer. That's why I'm like, I don't value as much, in my opinion. I don't know what the Browns are feeling, right? I think that's a fair trade. Well, not a fair. That is a reasonable offer for Myles.
There's no
fair trade. Yeah,
there's no winning the trade outside of you getting a future
Unless
first.
The Chiefs trade you Pat Mahomes, like you ain't going to win that trade.
You know what I'm saying? outside of getting a first round pick in either 26 or 27.
Yeah,
that you can use to actually get a franchise quarterback. There's no really like winning the trade. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of something that's kind of like a team could be like, you know what? We'll give you our first to 26. We'll give you our first this year. And I mean, Trayvon Walker or Josh Hines-Allen, like they're good pass rushers. They're not Myles, but they're good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like, I would think like something like that is like something realistic, or the most realistic you could ask for in a situation. It's not gonna feel good though.
It would definitely be a consolation prize, right? Like it'd be like, all right, well, this is what you got here, right? For Myles Garrett. I think if you're gonna like, I don't want to Luka myself, right? I don't want to make a trade that baffles people. Okay. As far as like how the value is for the Cleveland Browns. I think, yeah, for me, it's so hard to find a scenario because, like, even then, if you trade with Jacksonville, you're hoping they stink. But what if they're like the 15th pick in 2026?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just like you never. And this is something I've talked about ad nauseum. Even if you get a future first, like even if the Browns trade down from the 2nd pick and get a future first the next year, you don't really know
where it's going to land.
Where it's going to land. Even if a team's bad this year, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be bad the following year.
And also, you got to consider you're trading them Myles Garrett.
Right. Might be due for a couple extra wins just off the strength of having Myles.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that would be a lot better if they just had Myles Garrett, right? Like, yeah, I mean, I don't think some people because like sometimes people in Cleveland have underestimated how good he is. This is the best defensive player of his era. Like, this is somebody who could put in the letter, I don't really care about making a Hall of Fame. I already made it. Like, he tried to win Super Bowls. He's already made the Hall. Myles Garrett can retire from football today, be in the Hall of Fame in 5 years.
Yeah.
He's already got that locked up, right? And he's going in, he's in his prime. 4 straight 14 sack seasons, never been done before. So if you trade him to a team that has a pulse, you might end up with the 22nd pick of the first round next year for Myles Garrett. And you're like, oh, well, let's get a corner. Like, it's not going to be cool. It's not going to be dope. Like, I need to trade him for a pick that I know is going to net me what I want. And what I want is quarterback. And I can't do that this year. Right, you can't top 6, top 10 pick. Oh, yeah. What you gonna get? I could pair Mason Graham with Abdul Carter. That's cool. I'd rather just have Myles and Abdul Carter. Like a disgruntled Myles and Abdul Carter for a year will be fine with me, right? So yeah, like I think that's the issue. You can't know what pick you're going to have in 2026 or 2027 until we get to those drafts. And I think it's far too important for the Browns, right? A team that needs to have a solution at quarterback to sit there and say to themselves, well, we're just going to cross our fingers and hope that this pick is good enough or that our pick is good enough to get us a quarterback. Because you know what could happen? You could get the 12th and 13th pick of the draft next year because you won 7 games and the Jaguars won 7 games too. And you're picking at 12 and 13 and all the quarterbacks went before 10. And you're shit out of luck. Right? Like, yeah, like they can't play those games. So yeah, for me, I think they're gonna keep him at least for this year. And now instead of it becoming, hey, like you could play this game, which I don't endorse because I just played 3 years of this game, which is, oh my God, Myles wants to leave. Let's go and trade the farm for Kyler Murray. Right.
Please no. Please
or no. Let's go and see if what we could do to go get, I don't even know who else would be available, right? Like, oh, let's trade 2 first-round picks for Brock Purdy or something like that. Like to make Myles Garrett happy. I ain't really feeling that, right? Like either he could come to peace with what the Browns' plan is long-term for quarterback, or he really just want to get up out of here. But there's really no room to make this crazy move, trade all your first round picks and end up in the same damn place that you ended up in last time. But this time you got less talent and the talent's older. Also, like Cole, and I am usually the last to suggest this.
Oh God, here we go.
Hey man, it might just be time.
Time to hit the rebuild?
Yeah, like I will hold Myles for an extra year because you know you can get a top 5 pick by dangling Myles over the head of some team. But it might be time to be like, hey, Joel's old.
I'm telling you, man.
Wyatt's inconsistent.
I'm
Jack's
telling you,
over
bro.
30. There ain't no quarterbacks in this year's class, but I can name like 10 dudes that are probably going to go in the first round over the next 2 years. It just might be time. And I'm not saying lose intentionally, okay? But it might be time to focus on getting a little bit younger if you're the Cleveland Browns.
Man, dude, like what is the, and I know people were like, why are we trying to rebuild? Why are we doing this? Man, listen, there's no real path forward at this point.
If you can keep Myles and Myles wants to stay here and sign an extension and he takes a bunch of guaranteed money so he can't be traded, okay, cool. We're not going to rebuild. But if you have to trade Myles Garrett, it's over. You got to rebuild. Like you got to tear this thing down. There's no fixing that, right?
Yeah, you got to tear this thing down.
You know Denzel's on the board. Like the whole era is gone, right? Yeah. It's over with, right? Like everybody has to go, and maybe Kevin can survive it because he's a 2-time coach of the year, but it's gonna be a complete new era in Cleveland if you have to trade Myles. That's just what happens when you trade a player of this caliber. There is no world where I sit here and firmly believe you if you trade away your best player in your franchise and then tell me you try to win now.
No.
It sounds ridiculous, don't it?
It sounds stupid.
Yeah. I can't believe that actually happened though in a different league. But yeah, that's the tough part with this. I feel so bad. Go ahead.
Can I be honest about something?
What?
I think I'm pro tear this thing down and rebuild it. I think I'm there at this point.
If it feels like keeping Myles Garrett long term is a dead end, and it's looking like it's getting closer and closer to a dead end, then the 2026 draft becomes a super priority.
Yeah.
And we all know what that means.
This is my thing. This is my reasoning.
And I do have to ask the question. If the goal is ultimately to get a quarterback, we know that trading for a quarterback has its qualms.
Yes.
So not a real solution we can go with. We've already hit that button. The only other way to get a quarterback is to draft one. Now, contrary to popular belief, just because you have a decent coach does not mean that you could just draft anybody and they're going to be good or what you need a quarterback, right? You need to have a good player to develop him into that good player. Case in point, look, man, I know you like him, but ain't nothing Cliff Kingsbury doing got anything to do with why Jaden Daniels is good, right? Okay.
First of all, I'm going to stop you right there. I do not love Cliff Kingsbury. I do not love Cliff.
You hit the group text like, look at y'all hating on my boy.
That's all I said. I didn't say my boy. I said y'all just hating. I don't understand why y'all hating, man. Y'all hating. He got to the NFC Championship game. Get him man a little credit. That's all I'm saying.
I give Jaden Daniels all the credit in the world.
See, there you go.
I give Jaden Daniels all the credit. I am not a Jaden Daniels hater, but that man that we have seen scam with 14 different quarterbacks, yeah, man, I'm good. I'm not giving him no credit. Y'all gave him credit for that. He won.
That's hate.
At Texas Tech.
That's hate, bro. That's hate.
No.
He's the offensive coordinator of a team that just made the NFC Championship game with a rookie quarterback.
So I know.
Stop hating.
I know what'll make you never accuse me of hating Cliff Kingsbury, which is if the Browns hired him to be a coach of the Cleveland Browns. You will see the light. Okay. You'll be like, damn, it really got nothing to do with him. Yeah, it don't. Why?
I'm just saying.
Did Jaden get better?
You get that man a little bit of credit, just a little
Absolutely
bit.
Not giving that man any credit. He has gotten a whole career off getting credit for shit he don't deserve no credit for, right? And this is another example of it, man. Like,
okay, no, be fair. He's never done anything like this at the NFL level. Like, come on, bro. No,
he had the Cardinals as Super Bowl contenders for like half a season out there in Arizona. Y'all remember that? Everybody was hot when they had J.J. Watt and all that.
I remember.
They destroyed Baker Mayfield's labrum.
I don't remember people saying that. I really don't.
Oh yeah, it was happening. I remember. Look, I remember. I'm his biggest hater. I remember when people giving him credit.
Thank you for admitting it. Thank you for admitting it. I appreciate that. Thank you for admitting
all them Grammys. Okay.
He did win all them Grammys.
He won all them Grammys. Ain't nothing wrong with hating, as long as you
clean
right.
Sweep.
Okay. I know in 3 years I'm a clean sweep whatever version of our Grammys is about Cliff Kingsbury, because I know that man ain't good. Okay. I know he not good. I've watched his movies. He not fooling me. Okay. I'm good. I don't care if he had a good year. No, I'm too stubborn for that. Like, absolutely not about to give you credit when I've seen you do that. That man had Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes in college football. And you know how many times he won 8 games, Cole?
None?
One time.
Oh, okay.
One time. Him and Dion got the same peak season. Nah. With Pat. He had Pat. He got Jordan drafted 12th. Okay. No, Jordan drafted 10th. Nah, man. Nah. We'll never figure. The reason we have the Chiefs is because of Cliff Kingsbury. You out here. No, man, we can't forgive him for that.
No, we can't forgive Buffalo for that. It's Buffalo's fault. Actually.
It's not Buffalo's fault. This wouldn't be happening if Andy Reid didn't luck into the best quarterback of a generation. Like,
hey, guess what team? Guess what team allowed them to trade up and get Pat?
Oh, Buffalo.
Yes, it's their fault.
Yeah,
everything's their fault. But we need to get back. We need to get back to what we were talking about.
Buffalo and it's Cliff Kingsbury's fault because that man would have went to a regular coach. He would have been the second pick in overall in a draft, and we would have been like, okay, cool. Oh, he might have went number 1, right? Like, who knows where he would have went? But nah, Cliff had to go out there and win 6 games. But anyways, let's not get sidetracked here.
Let's not get sidetracked. I do think at this point, and this is kind of why I floated the Jacksonville thing, because it's just like, hey man, you gotta rebuild this thing at this point. And that might be this might be the launching pad to getting you back to where you need to be long term. I don't know if Andrew Berry and Kevin are going to be here to see it, to be completely honest.
Yeah, that's
like we might get back to where we need to be. It might be with 2 different people, but I don't know.
Because you can make the argument. The only reason we had the level of success that we did is because we had like 5 first-round picks in 2017 and 2018 combined, right? Everybody keeps pointing back to like, oh, John Dorsey did all this. I'm like, he drafted Denzel Ward with the extra pick that he got from Sachi Brown, and then like everybody else was some Sachi Brown picks, and then he traded Jabril Peppers for Odell Beckham Jr., and he lost that trade. Okay. But yeah. I think Myles is going to be the launching pad for your rebuild, right? Like, I agree with you on that. It feels like that's the case. If you have to decide to go rebuild, that's the first man you got to get up out the paint. I don't know if they've decided that they're rebuilding yet, right? Within Cleveland.
They kind of are.
I think they're getting forced into it. Like, if there were a good option to go with at quarterback, then I think they would do that and choose not to rebuild because they've spent so much trying to keep this roster together. And gotten nothing out of it, but not what they've wanted to get out of it, right? I think the play here is to just wait out 2025. It's going to be awkward. Maybe you can win some games to make it less awkward down the way. And then if an opportunity presents itself within the next couple of years to move Myles for a top 5 pick and some change in one of the next 2 drafts, you take it, and you take that to get you a quarterback. Everybody's asked me, well, if the Browns don't take a quarterback here, how are they going to take one next year? Well, either you suck and you have to pick to take it, or you use Myles, who wants to go, to do it. Now, the cruel thing would be we ain't really fulfilling his request, but he could argue that with his next team at that point.
I'm going to be real with you. I don't care about that. Because once you request a trade, at that point, as an organization, we got to do whatever is best for the organization.
Yeah, and like Myles too good to be like, let's just send him off right. Like he's too good of a player. Like,
yeah, no, we're not doing you no favors, bro.
I would hope that we are not ran by the Dallas Mavericks organization, right?
You're not gonna let this go. You are not gonna let this go.
They just like, yeah, man, could go to LA for free.
I can. Okay, first of all, it wasn't for free. Anthony Davis is a top 10 player. Let's not
when healthy.
He's been healthy the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. When healthy,
he's played like 95% of the games last 2 years.
He's going to the place where nobody stays healthy.
He's not going to New Orleans.
No. Okay, if it wasn't for New Orleans, Dallas would be right behind him. Luka ain't been healthy there. That whole team ain't been healthy. Kyrie ain't been healthy. I mean, we can go back.
I feel like Kyrie's played most of the games.
every time the Cavs played him, I never see Kyrie on the floor.
Yeah, you know, Kyrie got like this thing about playing against teams where, you know,
hey man,
he used to play. He got this thing.
Not gonna talk about that. We got all tomorrow to talk about that.
We get sidetracked. We get
sidetracked. Yeah. I don't think the Browns, like, they're gonna send him wherever they're gonna get the best deal at this point. Like, the relationship does not seem like it's gonna be great. And I'm gonna, like, the reality of like my plan is like, hey, they're gonna hate each other by the time. There's a good chance, at least, that they hate each other by the time this trade actually gets done.
I would like to avoid that. I would like to avoid that.
I would love to, but this is where we at, bro.
Like, I would like to avoid that if possible, but at this point, it's one of those things where it's like, hey man, if we get a crazy offer for you, that's where you going. It's what it is.
It's not avoidable. Like, once you send out the public trade request,
okay,
this is not avoidable. Like, again, I would love, like, I said this in the video. I was like, I would love to live in a world where this isn't going to lead to ugliness, where this isn't going to make the best player to wear this uniform since 1999 a polarizing figure. But that's simply not going to happen.
Yeah, you can't avoid it.
It's unavoidable. He does not want to be here. His explicit reason for not wanting to be here isn't money. I think people would get over it if it was money. And look, I think people are mad at the Browns right now, but over time, this dude saying, I don't want to be here because I don't think y'all can win, has consequences that I don't even think Myles and his camp thought out thoroughly enough. Because even if you want to leave for that reason, you got to make it seem like it's about something else. Like, you got to make it seem like it's about something else. And, you know, he's going to have to come back in here and look, people are going to be nice to him or whatever because he's Myles. But all of a sudden, he's going to realize, you know, like people, how do I put this? Because I only have one word to use as a euphemism for this, but it's a cuss word. People going to stop, you know, doing the extra stuff with you. Right? Like, it's going to feel real. It's going to feel a little bit lonely. It's like, hey, man, people don't really rock with me for real. Like, because you kind of just said, I don't really rock with y'all.
It's going to be difficult to bounce back from you basically saying, y'all trash.
You can't be leader no more.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it is. Basically saying,
team leader no more.
Y'all trash. You know what I'm saying? I can't win with this. How you expect me to win with this?
This ain't basketball where Kobe could get 81 and just make everybody forget. Like, nah, dog. Like, this is a little different than that. Like, Kobe's the only guy who's ever gotten away with that.
Yeah, because it's Kobe.
And also because Kobe said that to everybody, even when Shaq was on the team. like, yeah, Kobe gets to get away with that because Kobe walked in day one being Kobe. And I don't even mean that as far as like his skill. I just say Kobe been like that since day one. That's not Myles' personality, Myles' brand, his association. So when you do that and you Myles Garrett,
oh, you mean that? It
feels different, bro. I thought you thought we was the best in the world. What happened to that?
It feels different when it comes from you. You ain't never said this before. Why you saying this now, bro?
Like there's the award. Like, what, you can't win with me?
Like that hurts.
Or worse, Denzel goes, you right, and then says peace too.
Hey, honestly, if Denzel wants to go too, you gotta listen. You gotta do it. If you trade Myles, you gotta trade Denzel.
Trade Denzel, but like Myles is a little bit different, right? Like,
yeah, you know what I'm saying. But like, if you trade Myles, you rebuilding this thing. Like, if I'm Denzel, you gotta trade me too.
Yeah. I mean, if you trade Myles, you trade Denzel.
Yeah,
and you try to get that extra pick in the first round because you might be able to get Travis Hunter, and then I'm fine. Okay, oh man, like yeah, there's one guy you could draft in this draft where I'm like, oh, I lost Denzel Ward. Sucks. got younger and better. Like, is what it is. Travis Hunter's that level of prospect. I love Abdul Carter. Ain't no goddamn Myles. Okay, like absolutely no. It's not the same thing. If it was, we wouldn't be getting them at 2. But yeah, that's the part that I find that's going to be really difficult for them to come back from, which is, I don't know how else to interpret that if I was on that team.
You can't interpret it any other way.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Mm-hmm. Like, he ain't even specifically say, this is about the issues at the quarterback position. He said, I want to win a championship, so I have to leave. It's like, dog, will we not try to win a championship? Like,
listen, bro.
What you mean?
like I said.
Now, when Myles out there, like, he can't be no leader talking about some, oh man, when we got to dig down and we got to be the best that we can be to win everything that we can win. We got to win it all. You wanted to leave because you didn't believe in us. What you talking about?
Yeah, bro. Like,
if
the team offers me enough, I'm just getting it over with now.
At this point. I'm waiting till next year. I'm willing. I told you how I was about the whole Shador Dion situation. I'm like, I'm willing to be a gremlin. Like, I'll be a gremlin about this. I'm waiting until next year to trade you, big dog, because I need to know what pick I'm getting.
This is my thing though. It doesn't bother me to get it over with now, because I know if I trade you now, we gonna suck. You'll suck next year. And we picking a quarterback. So I don't bother.
Man, Kevin gonna be coaching for his job. He might pull some bullshit out.
Nah, man. This team not gonna be good enough for him to try to do nothing like that. So I was
they won like 8 games that one year. They had the terrible defense. In 2020, they didn't even have a good defense. They won.
2020 was bad. 2020 was that defense is not good. That defense is not good.
And then what they did, the Jacoby Brissett, Deshaun Watson split season, they won 8.
Was it 7? I thought they won 7.
Was that 7? What year they won 8 the Baker Mayfield Labrum year.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like,
the year the defense was actually pretty good, especially second half of the season.
2021?
Yeah, second half of the season, that defense was playing well.
Yeah, because 2023 was the year they stunk.
Yeah. No, 2022. 2020 was the year
2020. Yeah,
2022 was the year they stunk.
That was the Joe Woods get fired year. Yeah, I just simply would not count out there. Like, because, like, again, man, anybody that they have play quarterback is going to be better than what they had last year.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think they're going to be 3 win bad again. And I mean, if you do trade Myles, you are going to clear house. Maybe you stink because of that. Maybe that's the exact intention. It's just a really ballsy move at that point for a fan base that literally just went through this, 8 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them doing that. I don't see them having the security to do that. That's what I'll say. Because, like, in order to do that, you got to be sure you ain't about to get fired anytime soon. And this guy, you might get fired next year written all over it. Man. So they going to hold it together to try to get what they can next year.
I don't know. I think the steward of the franchise now and for the future may not be very worried about his job security going forward.
Nah. He understands you can't trade Myles Garrett and think shit's gonna be breezy. Okay.
You're saying the steward of the franchise now and into the future should probably be worried about the franchise now and into the future.
Yes. He should be concerned. He should be very concerned. Kevin should be concerned. Like, nobody is safe right now. And I think if they have a bad year next year, they know they fired. They got through this year because it was the first year on that new deal. But after that, bro, like, it is what it is, right? You can easily get fired in year 2 of your contract. Yeah, I think they're going to do everything they can to win as much as possible this upcoming season. And I think there will be some success with it. They're going back to what Kevin does on offense. We know that there's a base level of success you can have with that. Defensively, if they lose Myles, they'll still like draft somebody like Abdul. You could get some interior defensive linemen. It's possible that defensive line is not terrible. They still have Mike Hall coming back. Isaiah McGuire was pretty decent. Like, again, it's not having Myles. And I'm not talking about a team that's going to win like 12 games or something like that. But you could easily win enough to not have a top 5 pick next year.
I kind of wonder how this impacts the thought process for the draft, because I always felt like they were taking Abdul at 2 or 3 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like now you kind of have to take it. I thought they were going to do it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But now I kind of feel like, ooh, that feels like a decision that it has been made for you at this point.
I think actually it makes it more likely, in my opinion, that they take Travis Hunter.
If they're going to trade Myles?
Huh?
If they have to trade Myles?
Yeah. Here's my thinking. If you trade Myles, the whole theory behind getting Abdul Carter, at least for me, was you're supercharging a strength. If you trade for Abdul, you get Abdul Carter, you're just trying to replace that strength. I would just flip it and be like, okay, well, if I'm not going to get the most out of Myles because he's not here anymore, then you have to support the best player on your defense, which is Denzel Ward, and then you go get Travis Hunter.
No, see, I disagree.
I think that's a way they could think about it. I'm not sure that they won't like Travis more than Abdul because they seem to lean towards corners more than they lean towards edges. Because God knows I fought that battle with this franchise over the last 4 years.
Yeah, listen, I think that's a mistake, straight up.
Yeah,
like I think that's a mistake.
What, Hunter over Carter?
Yeah, I think it's a mistake.
I don't think they're that different as prospects. I think Carter's a pretty good prospect. I think the same is true of Travis. As long as you like play him at corner.
See, that's the thing, because the assumption is that they view him more as a receiver, and if that is the thought process, it's a mistake. It's a mistake.
Nah, I don't need to see him running no end arounds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if that is your thought process behind the decision, just take Abdul.
Yeah.
Like, just take Abdul.
If there's a debate on what position he plays, then you got to take Abdul. Yeah. But if you are in agreement that he's a corner, I think that opens up that conversation, because I do think Travis is head and shoulders above the best corner.
I've said this too. Like, I think he's a significantly better corner prospect than he is a wide receiver prospect.
Yeah, he's a natural corner. I mean, that's why I assumed he went under Prime's wing, right, to be a corner in the NFL. And I know he want to play both, but there's a real easy fix to that, Cole. Have him go out there and cover somebody who runs 4-3, and then go out there and cover and try to run routes against somebody who also runs 4-3. He'll understand why that's going to be an exhausting task, right? In the Big 12, when you run 4-3 and that corner run 4-5, it ain't nothing to get open on him when you tired. But yeah, in NFL, we're like Denzel Ward gonna be covering you one way, and on the other side, it's Pat Surtain. Like, nah, dog. It ain't gonna happen the way you want it to. Or on the other side, it's like imagine playing the Denver Broncos, and you're Travis Hunter. You got to go try to get open against Pat Surtain. That's exhausting.
Yes.
And then you go back on the other side of the field, and then you got to go chase Cortland Sutton around. You ain't gonna make it. Okay, they run too fast. They know too much. Like, it's just, he'll figure it out real quick. He can't do both. If he needs to learn that lesson the hard way, you make him learn that lesson the hard way. But he'll figure it out that he need to be corner. Maybe you could let him like get in on some emergency packages, on some fun shit. But Yeah, he gonna have to play corner. But yeah, overall, not the funnest day in Cleveland Brown world. I don't know, it'd be messier, man, because like if he dropped a statement in like a couple of months, talk about I rescind my trade request. Hey, buddy, you said what you said already, though. Like, I don't think enough people have weighed the consequences of that. That he has said what he said. That's gonna feel like a personal attack on some people in that locker room. And look, they'll get over it to the point where they could be cordial in camp or something, but they're not gonna forget that dude said he don't believe in y'all.
No, you never forget it.
Yeah, like I remember everybody who said they ain't believe in me, and I ain't an NFL player. Okay,
like imagine if I went on another stream, it's like, yeah, man, we will never get this kind of numbers with
I don't feel like I could get a plaque with Q. All right, yeah. All right, like that's crazy. Okay, cool. Yeah. It's gonna be It's gonna be a tenuous situation.
I know you ain't gonna never let that go.
Yeah. And maybe I'm projecting on how I feel. Maybe the rest of the team is not this petty, but I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. But yeah, man, like these are athletes who are born off of like every single athlete success story is like, oh yeah, I was slighted one time. They're not gonna take well to this, man. Like that's another angle to think about it from. Real quick before we head out to give this show to Jacob and Sam, we got 2 comments here to pull up. Trill Hill, is that what they say? Trill Hill.
Yeah. Trill Hill 7714.
Who are the mythical prospects that are going to be in next year's draft class? What do you mean mythical? Lenore Sellers is not some unknown like entity. He played last year at South Carolina. He's not Cade Klubnik. You saw him in the playoffs. Drew Aller. Y'all was trying to draft Drew Aller this year.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Nussmeier, y'all be trying to draft them. I see y'all hype up Jackson Dart. Shameless. Y'all shameless. Okay. Like, what do you
Yeah, the 2026 class it's so much better than this class. It's so much better than this class. We didn't even talk about Arch.
Arch, right? Who, if he doesn't come out of this year's class, will come out in 2027's class. Nico Imalava, who is a number 1 overall recruit coming out, might have that breakout year at Tennessee. That's what 6.
Yeah, it's a much better quarterback class, and in 2027
guys that I would take before Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Will Howard, right there. Add Cam Ward, right there. Maybe Shador could fit into there, but like there's 6 guys I would feel the same about.
Yeah, I would 100% be okay passing on this class to get Lenore Sellers next year. Wouldn't hate it. Would love it actually.
Yeah, he might be the 3rd guy. Do you think Myles has a list of teams he prefers if he lays down the Watson style of trade? Brother, he can put a list down. It don't matter.
It don't matter at all.
What?
It literally does not matter at all. What he like, it doesn't matter at all.
No. He don't got like the no trade clause or anything like that. Or I don't think he's gonna sit out a year like Deshaun did. And also, there was a reason why the Texans were like, you know what? We'll just take the picks. Okay. And that reason was there was a case that dropped that made them go, you know what? We'll take the picks.
Yeah.
You notice that the sense of urgency to trade Deshaun Watson before that happened and after that happened, much different. But I digress. Cole, it's been fun having you on. We're going to have regular Q and Cole tomorrow. It's going to be a jam-packed show. I'm going to just block out the 3 hours already, man. Like it's
Oh, yeah. Definitely a good 3.5. A good 3.5.
This is a sneak preview. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate Ian behind the scenes. This has been an episode of Quincy Carrier Live. Hope y'all all enjoy. Now make sure you stay tuned for Jacob Roach and Sam Penix.
What's up, guys? There's no big news to talk about. You're just here to see some mock drafts, right? Like that's what's happening. It's just a regular mock draft Monday, Sam. How are we doing?
Yeah. It's draft season. I'm only focused on drafts. There's nothing else going on, right? So
absolutely
just fine, right? Normal newsless, boring Monday afternoon. evening.
Yeah. So welcome everybody into another episode of Mock Draft Duel. Jacob Roach, Sam Penix, we are here with you tonight to go over some more mock drafts. We'll let's do this. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up on this video. We appreciate you all hanging out with us here this evening. I hope you guys enjoyed Quincy Carrier Live ahead of us. As we dive in here, one thing we will say, I don't really know what to think of the Myles Garrett situation. Sam, I'll give you the floor if you want to talk on that real quick before we launched into tonight's programming.
I think it's significant that he came out and publicly requested a trade, especially in that fashion. Correct me if I'm wrong. Back when David Njoku requested his trade, he didn't do anything like it was public knowledge that he requested a trade, but it wasn't public like this, right? It wasn't a kind of a spectacle type thing.
I don't remember a statement like this.
Yeah,
no, there's like a signed statement and everything in this situation.
Yeah, that was put together, graphics and everything. Yeah, so clearly there's an intent here for some reason, whether that's a new contract, whether that's to actually force his way out. We'll have to see. There are significant financial ramifications to trading him, so that makes things very difficult. But I mean, if he wants out and the alternative is if he's willing to sit out, what are you going to do? You're going to try to figure out a way to just sell him to the highest bidder, figure out a way to reconfigure his contract to where the dead cap hit isn't astronomical and prevents you from moving him. So we'll see. It's a really interesting situation. I mean, like this team needed any more drama and news off the field. So, I mean, they've got the off season, but they need to know what they're doing before free agency. So they got a month-ish, right? So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
It was really weird timing to me because March 12th is the new league year. So it's just significantly early to me. It makes me think, and this is the optimism. This has got to be the optimist in me. It makes me think it's more of putting pressure on them to be like, whatever plan they presented him with to win in 2025 wasn't good enough. And it seems like he's giving them enough time to try to maybe redo that. I don't know, just because it's so early. That's the only reason I say that.
Yeah. The thing is too, there's only so much that they can lay out at this point. You can say, all right, Myles, we're going to get a veteran quarterback that we can win with. You don't know who that's going to be yet because it's not free agency yet, the years and years. So Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, there's all these guys who may or may not be available. You have no clue what's really going to happen. You just know that at worst, you're going to be faced with the option to take at least one of those two top quarterbacks at number 2. That's really all you can say is set in stone at this point. And if he's adamant about saying, hey, I don't want to wait around for a rebuild, then presenting him with the option of, hey, we might take this rookie quarterback, I don't know that he would love that idea. So that might have something to factor into it.
Hey, the first comment here, D end at 2, a D end at 33 in play. Carter Sawyer and McGuire is a solid rotation. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. I don't hate that. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. I'll jump back to PFF this week since we switched it up last week. And I've already got mine up fighting mad. So let's not fighting mad. I don't know. I don't really know. So anyway, we'll start here. We'll start with this week's mock. I'll start here on the PFF. One thing that's interesting is they still have a pick 242 that the Browns don't actually have. So that's the one thing that's interesting when you do their sim. But This is going to be really interesting because we get to talk about some of these Senior Bowl changes as these players, because I know PFF has updated their big board as a result. So I'm very interested to get into that. But I'm going to make it just point to the point, simple, easy. I know I did this like 2 weeks ago, and it's a super, super cop out, but I continue to think that Abdul Carter is the right way to go. So I'm going to do this mock as if nothing changes in the Garrett Myles Garrett world. It is a Monday night. So because I really think take Carter, see if the go up for 1 and 2 and trade my I see what you're saying. Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? Like it brings me back to with the Texans. Yeah, I know it was 2 and 3 that they did it with, but like they're like, hey, or whatever the CJ Stroud and Will Anderson. They're like, we're just gonna get both of these dudes, and like that'd be funny to do Hunter and Abdul Carter and just be like put yourself in this really get these really high upside to like really freaky level athletes that are unique, very unique prospects, and getting both of them, that'd be insane.
You need another top 10 pick to do that though, or at least top 15. So there's actually a pretty interesting way you could possibly get one of those.
Well, but anyway, I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue with Abdul Carter. I cannot wait for his combine, man. Like I just want to see how you measure the freakiness that he has as an athlete and whatnot. Like I just want to see what it looks like.
Then he's just not going to test because he just knows he's already going top 2. Like there's no point, and we're going to be so sad.
Yeah. It's just going to be like when I found there were several people, Elik Manor dropped out of the Senior Bowl, Carson Schlesinger, the linebacker from UCLA, some guys I was super, super excited to see at the Senior Bowl, and then they just weren't there. So, all right, over to you, my friend.
All right. Well, I can either go trade down or I can go quarterback here. So I don't love it, but I think I'm gonna try to keep it simple, and we're gonna say, all right, the Browns, for some reason, they've done all the research, they've done all the background work, they interviewed these guys at the Senior Bowl, at the Combine, Pro Days, and they think, okay, Sanders is the guy. We believe we can win with him, and we think, especially with this Myles Garrett situation, we think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback right now. So this is what we're going with. And
okay,
and we'll go with this situation, this scenario for tonight.
So this is my question, because like I'm like a little bit of a Shedeur Sanders hater. Are you just banking on the fact that he does a lot of winning above the shoulders, and that kind of you think that correlation with that aspect of it and the Stefanski thing would work really well?
I wouldn't even necessarily say it's above the shoulders. I think it's just the premier accuracy in the area of the field that I think Stefanski likes to work a lot in. Like if you think back to 2020, like I always go back to that second half of 2020 when Baker Mayfield was just tearing it up. Mm-hmm. He was making a lot of good deep ball throws, but the majority of his success was coming in that intermediate area of the field, where he was just beating guys, just accurate throws on a rope, where I think, Sanders doesn't have that arm strength, but if you're keeping him in that area of the field where he doesn't necessarily have to like load up and throw with everything he has, he can just sit back there and execute throw after throw after throw. I think you can have some level of success there, even if you don't think he has the physical traits worthy of a second overall pick, or the kind of guy who is going to be a really top-end starter.
All right. I think those are all fair points. I had a really good, productive conversation with somebody about Shedeur Sanders that, like the day after I published a profile that was like, he's a second-round pick. And this guy's like, he had like came for me with a. It was a very. I loved it because it was one of those conversations where you're like, this guy's not insulting me. He's just saying, hey, what about X, Y, and Z? Like, I disagree because of X, Y, and Z. And I just, that's what I thrive on this time of year. It's like, I love that sort of conversation. Okay. All right. So Josh Connerly is one of the kind of my crushes, one of my draft crushes. Colston Loveland would be really fun. We've moved Jack Bash up. Jack Bash is like, I don't know. He's just like that dude you love to watch, right? Like,
he's your guy to root for in this class.
Yes, yeah, that's the best way. He's a guy you love to root for. I think that's the best way. Like, where you're like, is he the fastest guy? No, but he's not slow. It's like, is he the biggest guy? Well, yeah, he's got good size, but none of that is like going to be number one in the class. But when you put it all together, you're like, do I need, like, that's the kind of work ethic and just attitude that you want your team to have. So like taking Jack Bash makes a lot of sense in that sense. In this situation, going down, looking through what they have, Josh Connerly, I thought Josh Connerly, I think he's the best athlete at tackle in this class. And the thing about it is I walk away from that Senior Bowl, and I know I've probably taken him into mock already on this show, but like I walked away from that Senior Bowl. Yeah, he had that viral clip where he got destroyed by Mike Green, which he has issues with power. He was also on the right, he was on the right side for that rep, and he just was not. He did not get his hands up. He did not get set quick enough. And Mike Green saw it and exploited it and destroyed it.
He was on him too quickly, and like boom, there's too much speed to power there.
Which is crazy because of how good of an athlete Connerly is. It's just happened. That just shows you what level Mike Green is also on. But he came back and had a couple of good reps against Mike Green after that.
He voted the top offensive lineman there by the players.
I think that was Gray Zabel.
Oh.
Or Gray Zabel was the best of the whole thing. I either way, I'd love either one of them. That's fine. But yeah, no, man, like you're right. Like a lot of people talked about him. I think he's a really good mover. Add like 10 pounds of muscle to Josh Connerly, a little bit more power, and I think you've got an elite left tackle for a long time.
Yep, I think so too. And he's so young too, so he's just ascending talent for sure.
He's either just turned 21 or he turns 21 like right before the draft.
Definitely a positive. All right, so if taking a quarterback at 2 wasn't already the nightmare scenario, this is like nightmare scenario 2.0 because all of the tackles are gone, and Jackson is gone. So you're unless you like Ursary here, like you are not in good shape. So I continue to like feel more and more as this process continues that if the Browns want to have one of those top tackles, I'm not even talking about the guys who came into this process top, like Campbell and Banks. I'm talking any of the guys that at this point we're thinking are like first round legitimate tackle prospects. They're going to have to move up from 33, like to the mid 20s at least. Because I don't think guys like Connerly and Membu and even Donovan Jackson, if you view him as a tackle or think he could play tackle, I don't think they're lasting to 33. It's too much of a premium position for that to happen, which is really unfortunate, but that's the situation this team is going to be in. So you're faced with a lot of issues here. We still don't know enough on the top 2 corners here on their health situations.
And Ravel's an older prospect too.
Yeah, either one of these guys, like just going off talent at this point, really good value. They're like, if they were healthy, you'd probably see them go within the top 25, maybe even top 20 for both. You just don't know. I don't know. Matthew Golden is intriguing here. I'm almost feeling like, are you forced to go with a tackle, just like whoever the best tackle is at this point? Because you have nothing, right? Like you can't count on Jones to be a factor in 2025. You don't really have any depth behind Conklin, and you don't have a starter on the left side. So I think you almost are forced into Ursery here. Try him at tackle, see if he can stick there if he's quick enough to stay there. If not, I think he can be a very good guard. So you're improving your offensive line regardless at this pick. I'm not thrilled about it, but I think that's kind of where you have to go at this point.
I do like Ursery a lot just because I think he's got stuff you can work with because a dude that big shouldn't move the way he moves. Although I will say your boy, I heard a lot of buzz about your boy Anthony Belton last week at the
There you go.
There was a lot of really good buzz there. Question from World's Fastest Batman. Where is Simmons trending? From everything, I have not heard anything about his medicals, but like all the draft people are talking to, I just keep hearing top 20 whenever you talk about Josh Simmons. It's like
if the Browns have a shot at Simmons, it's because his injury outlook is really bad.
Yeah.
You're not, if he's healthy, he's going to be long gone.
Unless you like do a little trade back, you take him anyway. I
wouldn't hate it.
I would not. I love when an Ohio State guy actually is worth it for the Browns because like I try so hard to make sure I'm not being a homer, but so when it aligns, I'm like, yeah.
And then you still get called a homer. Even though I didn't even say what college he was from. Like, he's just a good tackle.
I just said he was the best tackle in the class. Like, it's like, that's all I said. I thought about doing a written mock for the website and doing as many Ohio State players as possible just to see the meltdown that people would have. And I would even pick good ones. You know what I mean? Like, I was going to pick good ones. And it's like
Lathan Ransom in the second round.
Yeah. Stuff like that. Yeah. All right. I'm very intrigued by where you take a running back. Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, I love that they're like back-to-back because they're kind of like that on my board. I'm like very interested to see like where that goes. And let's see. I love Kevin Winston Jr. a lot, but the injury only plays 2 games this year. Tremendous run defender back there, plays deep, but you can see the splits here. Had a really good year last year for Penn State, but it's really tough, you know, with that injury. I like Dylan Gray. I'm going to take Jalen Royals. I like Jalen Royals a ton. I thought had that mid-season injury. I think he played 7 games. Let me check and make sure I'm not. 22 years old. He'll be 22. I think he's got good size, good speed, all around good. I think once you start getting past this, I think there is a massive drop off at wide receiver.
Yeah.
As you get through the 3rd round. So a guy with like Jalen Royals with size, speed, athleticism, when I know you need a weapon, I think he makes a ton of sense. I'll take him here. It's like, you got a handful of wide receivers, and then all of a sudden it's like, good luck.
Yep. That's how it's going to be for a lot of positions, unfortunately. So they kind of have to pick and choose which ones they're going to be willing to pass on for a lot of the draft. And free agency will help with that. It'll clear up the picture a little bit. If they make any trades or something. So.
Have you heard this, by the way? I just saw this before we hopped on, and it just came across the Rams are trading. That's interesting. That's
There's a lot of things you got to think about with that. So like if you're trading Garrett, I don't think that makes much sense. But if you're trying to win now, he's a good one. So
There's the wide receiver trade. We were wondering if it,
Yeah,
because it's
exactly.
every year.
Yep. And it like increases in like level of player each year. So more to Judy and then to Cooper Kupp. All right. So Gray Zabel being ranked 60 here, I would expect that to like skyrocket, maybe even like 30 places in like a week's, like within a week.
Yeah.
I would take him here, but I don't think that's realistic. So I think I'm going to take Embo here and just figure out if he's a better guard or a center. It's Bo?
Yeah, it's what Todd McShay has been saying.
M is silent.
Trevor Sycama's been saying. I just heard a bunch of people say it's Bo, and who I think might be a center. Might be his best spot. But for some reason, apparently the M is silent.
All right. Well, you learn something new every day. So Marcus Bo, and like you said, center or guard, wherever he earns a spot at, I'm fine with. And then hope that Ursary can stick at tackle. That's where I'm sitting here. So
yeah, I really like that. I really like that for you because like you're hitting inside, outside, even if it's center versus guard, wherever it is. It's like, guess what? We're going to find – he's that guy that it's like you draft him and you figure out where he plays later. Like
just trying to get some good athletic linemen in here so he can start running the ball again.
Yeah, and like World's Fastest Fat Man says, he's a guy that can move in space. Very, very well. Moves very, very well in space. All right. I keep clicking over to my mock before I put it on the screen, so then I have to come back over here so I can put it back on the screen. All right. Up at 94 here. I like Tate Ratledge, but he's older. I think he's like 24. Yeah, he's going to be 24, so that's I keep forgetting about that because I like him quite a bit. If Jalen Milroe was on the board at 94, I don't find that realistic because people are going to bet on those traits. If he was on the board there, I would run it up. Mello Dotson is fun, but I think he's older, isn't he? He's a senior. I do kind of like – I think getting a corner in the top 100 might be a sneaky big thing they need to do.
I agree.
And you're kind of at this point where you pick which Kansas guy you like best, I suppose. I really like Kobe Bryant just because of the run defense. I think he's more physical, plays in the run. I think he's bigger too. No, he's smaller. That's interesting because he plays a lot bigger than Mello Dotson does, in my opinion. But I like, you know what, I'm going to do it. It might be a little bit of a reach for some people, but I think Kobe Bryant's a really nice physical corner, plays the run well, plays man coverage, plays coverage, zone coverage well. I think he can do a little bit of it all. So I'll take Kobe Bryant there.
Like it. All right, I'm trading up because I got to start getting rid of all these 18 picks out of the back end. I am never doing it. So we're moving up for a running back. National champion Travion Henderson.
Ooh, where are you going? You're going up to 80? Okay.
They accepted it for Mr. Relevant, so I don't necessarily know if that's fair value, but I don't make the trade sim rules, so we're gonna be happy with that.
We take what we get on this. All right. That is the motto of OBR Mock Draft Duel. We take what we get.
Yes.
That's what we do here. Let's see here. How far do Milam's low arms make him drop? Dude still has maybe the best overall grades in the last 2 years. Really good tape. Dropping him is reasonable. How can you ignore his prediction? It's great. I still like Wyatt Milam. I'm just right now I'm working on later this week or into next week sometime. I'll have an updated big board. I keep going back and forth because I think he can stick at tackle. It's just you got to worry about the leverage situation because he's got the shorter arms, but he also plays with an inconsistent pad level from time to time. So
yeah. We talked about this a little bit last week where there are some guys in this class with shorter arms, but really good tape. And are you willing to bet that they're going to join the outlier group of Armstead, Staley, and Peters over the last 15 years? Those are the only guys with below the threshold of arm length. So do you like Milam enough to say, I believe he's going to join those guys? And he's got really good tape, really good production, like we're saying. So it's not the worst bet in the world, I feel like.
No. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go homerish here, man. I'm going to do Will Howard at 102 if Will Howard is there. Understood why he didn't go to the Senior Bowl, but to me, Will Howard is this is the question that I have and why I would take Will Howard. Can you put Will Howard in a similar environment in the National Football League to make him successful? He's not an elevator. Will Howard is not walking in there and elevating everybody around him. But if you get back to Kevin Stefanski's grassroots and you rebuild that offensive line and you get that running game going again, and maybe Nick Chubb comes back, whatever it is, you get another wide receiver. In this case, I've already brought in another wide receiver, didn't I? Did I?
Yep. You got Royals.
Okay, I did. Thank you. But you bring in some weapons and he does a great job. I think he's more accurate than I thought. His accuracy impressed me, especially in the college football playoff. I think he needs to be in the right system. And it's when Baker Mayfield was here, to make everything work with him, it had to be right. Everything around him had to be right. That's Will Howard ceiling. I think Will Howard has a high floor, low ceiling, and if you plug him into the right spot, you can win games. He's a high-end backup that can win games in a quarterback-friendly system. I think that system can be ran by Stefanski.
Sounds like a valuable backup to me.
Right. He's like that. I'm trying to think, Jacoby Brissett, kind of guy that's I can win with Jacoby Brissett if I really.
Yeah. All right, so we got some interesting prospects here. Again, a lot of these I just don't see happen. I don't see Darian Porter lasting this long. Kevin Winston, Elijah Arroyo, I don't see because we're at the top of the fourth already. So we got to look a little bit further down.
What a Senior Bowl for Elijah Arroyo, man!
Yeah,
I missed him, dude. I missed him on my initial top 10 rankings. I just hadn't watched a lot of his tape, and because you look at his numbers, he didn't even have 600 receiving yards. So I was like, maybe I'll get to his numbers when I get to him. And then all of a sudden, I get a text from Casey Kinnaman. He's like, dude, Arroyo's that dude. And I'm like, really? And he was popping while I was watching, Cam Ward tape, but I was really focused on Cam Ward. He goes down to that Senior Bowl, and I'm like, oh.
Now I see it.
My apologies, sir.
Yeah, definitely a very toolsy player who I can definitely see having a lot of success in the NFL. I don't see him lasting until the fourth, so I'm not gonna go that route. Defensive tackle, I think, is a underrated need. Darius Alexander and Aeneas Peebles, I think, both had really good Senior Bowl weeks.
Yeah.
So both of them helped themselves a lot, I think. So you could go either way. I'm just going to go with Alexander and pander to the Rockets fans. So
it was so funny because I was working on my mock that came out for the website that totally got buried because as soon I released that mock and 3 hours later, Myles requests a trade. I'm like, son.
That's terrible timing on your part. You made a huge mistake.
It's like, oh my goodness. You're like, what have I done? What have I done? But I had him at 105 or the pick at 102 or whatever that pick is right there, just because oh my goodness, that dude's interesting. There's a lot of interesting traits about Alexander. And as a Mac guy, you can already see who I want. Look at that. Marcus Yarns, the running back, he's a grad. Like, he might be aged out because I don't have an age on him, but I do have that he was a graduate student. This dude's quick. Like, I want to get a running back in Cleveland that has got the breakaway, because I think Ford has really good speed, but I want this just like super hyper explosive. Like, Ford's got to get going a little bit to
he's got more long speed. It's not necessarily like quick lightning quick acceleration, and that's the kind of guy you want to be able to hit that hole really quickly. They just don't have that right now.
And I think that's what Marcus Yarns can give you. He showed some of that stuff down at the Senior Bowl, was able to really showcase coming from the smaller school. So you get a chance for a guy that has that super hyper explosiveness. He goes a little bit later because of the small school that he plays for. And so I like the idea of trying to get some of that in Cleveland.
I like it. So I'm faced with a dilemma here because I want to move up for Dylan Sampson, but I've already taken Travion Henderson, and I'm not sure those two guys complement each other because I think their skill sets might overlap too much. What do you think?
I don't think you can ever have enough of that. Like, if that's if that's on the table, it's just because, and I know that it's not the exact same, but I look at what Ohio State had this year. And I know that these two guys are not the same as one of them is Henderson, but it's not the same as Henderson and Judkins. But Henderson was at his best as that knockout punch, like explosive number 2. And I think that the idea, I did it in a mock today. I'm kind of thinking about doing it in a lot of written mocks going forward, where it's like, I love getting 2 running backs. I just think this class is so stupid loaded that you've got to do that. Just like I think you've got to make sure you do some moves at defensive line, because I think the defensive line class is stupid loaded. And it's just like,
take advantage of the deep position groups, especially when there are 2 groups that you have needs at.
Right. Like Ollie Gordon, that's disrespectful. That's straight disrespectful to put Ollie Gordon at 192. I thought he had a pretty good Senior Bowl. I was a little down on him going into the Senior Bowl, but like I thought he had a pretty good Senior Bowl. What do I got at defensive interior? Because I messed around and didn't take one yet. A little bit. Mike Caldwell, 3 foot. There it is. That's what we need. We need a big old hog molly in the middle there. Good run defender from Oregon. Kind of overshadowed by the fact that Derek Harmon's next to him. And, what's the other one's? What's the other guy's name? There's another defensive lineman, Oregon defensive lineman. I can't think of.
Dortch? What was his name?
Is it Jordan Birch?
Birch, yep, that's it.
But Jamari Caldwell, big 340-pound guy. Still had a 10%, nearly 10% pass rush win rate, but got to clog up the middle a little bit. So I'll take the lane clogger. Hog, hog molly for the turkey hole. That's right.
There you go. All right, safety I think is a need, as you alluded to earlier. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go with Billy Bowman here from Oklahoma. But he had 6 picks in 2023. There's really good coverage grades. He's undersized. He's like 5'10". So he's a smaller dude, but he can play. And that you can bring him along, slowly. Like, you're not drafting a guy in the 6th round to start right away. So I think you're going to be fine with him. So safety, I think, is again, like defensive tackle, is underrated need. And I think there's going to be some guys available later on day 3 that you can bring in and say, okay, I see a situation where this guy can start for me at some point in the future, and I think Bowman's one of those guys.
I agree. Another guy that I thought had some moments at the Senior Bowl. That reminds me, let's see what I've got left at safety here on the board. I think this is still I still stick with Malachi Moore. I like him a ton. 23.3% forced in completion rate. But the biggest thing is slot snaps, mainly in the slot last year, but then moved back to safety this year. As you can see, the grades show that was where he was at his best this year was back at safety. But I still think he's a good run defender. Has played some slot, hasn't really played outside corner, but has played some slot, played in the box. I love those versatile guys. So getting Malachi Moore here in 6th round is cool with me.
Do we know Nick Nash's age?
I do. Hold on. I've got that. I think you're okay for where you're at.
Yeah, it's late day 3, so I think you can bend the rules a little bit, even if he's a bit older.
That's what I was like doing for Yarns. Nash. I have it here somewhere. I know that his freshman year was 2019.
Yeah, he's been in school for 6 years, so that's the concern. Really good 2024 though.
Yeah, but I think at this point in the draft, like to me, it's like I think he does some really fun. But I mean, as a freshman, he was a quarterback.
Yeah, wasn't he recruited as a QB? So like, I shouldn't do this just so that I don't give Stefanski any ideas, because we're already sick of the little gimmick plays that don't do anything. So what else?
Work.
Kobe King, Jake Majors is good, but we already got Marcus Bowe.
Yeah.
Brenning Stoll, I don't see Joyner lasting. That's the thing. Like a lot of these, our like personal rankings for a lot of these guys are going to differ a lot from the consensus board as a whole, just because the consensus board takes into account so many mocks and big boards. So you're going to see players that, like there's probably not 171 better prospects in this class than Jake Brenningstool, for example. So, just things like that are going to happen. There's a lot of good running backs on the board still, but I did Mitchell Evans last time, so we're going to try to let's see if there's another tight end that I think might be decent. Who we got here? Jurasik.
Yeah, Jurasik's
I mean, 404th on the big one. That's crazy.
I think
I'll go with it. I can live with that. I think he can. I think he can make the team as a tight end 3 or tight end 4, depending on how many they keep this year.
It's a
Georgia guy.
Yeah, I think part of his issues were his usage. Sorry, I clicked on that. All right, so your draft is done. So while yours finishes, we're gonna make a bunch of real quick picks.
This happens every time.
Gadsden is just this power slot playing tight end.
Yeah.
But like he's big enough. Yeah, 236, somewhere around there. I think he can develop. You're not going to play him in line, but you're going to play him in the slot and some stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he'd be a fun, interesting weapon. Tyler Show, if you like 25-year-old quarterbacks, is there.
I do like quarterbacks who can just like spin the ball in their hand after they catch the bad snap and then sling it. Like that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. You got me there.
Yeah, like if that's not a reason to draft someone, I don't know what is.
I don't know what are we even doing here. I still stay very happy with Joshua Gray just because played left tackle, played left guard. Think he's a better guard. I think he can move a little bit. I think he's got enough power and enough size, and I love that flexibility to go there. Let's see. Do we do it? Do we take marks? Take Marks, even though he's 24 years old already. You can't stop me.
So running back.
Give me more running backs. I'm just picking Tyler Show here because it's not a real pick. This has devolved. The end of this show has just gotten absolutely out of hand.
HTML, edit that pick out of the final results. Just delete the element and we go on.
And just delete it. All right. Here we go. Sam, present us with your mock draft for the week.
So we did a little bit of maneuvering around, but not a whole lot. So we end up with Shedeur Sanders as the new quarterback, and hopefully Ariante Ursery as his new left tackle. Marcus Bowe from Purdue as either a center or a guard, whichever. He'll be good at either one. Then we end up with Travion Henderson as a home run threat at running back. Darius Alexander from Toledo to provide some depth on the interior defensive line. Then we grab another home run hitter, Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. And then Billy Bowman and Benjamin Jurasik to add some depth at safety and tight end. So overall, not like the star power, I think, of some of the other classes that I've ended up with, but you get a guy who, for the purposes of this conversation, the purpose of this show, we believe is franchise quarterback material. Don't take that out of context.
I'm taking
only.
That.
Yeah, Andrew Berry called me and told me for this hour he believes Shedeur Sanders is a franchise quarterback. So that's what we're going off of.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You've improved your offensive line. You've rebuilt your RB room, and you've added some depth at some of these other key positions. So I'm going to say it could be a lot worse. That's what I'll say.
That's a team that can run the football, though. Like that's a team that can run the football. So let's see what PFF gave me. What did they grade me for? They said I should have drafted Tyler Booker instead of Jalen Royals, but they could shove it. B+. Yay. B+. This isn't a real pick. All right. Okay. Abdul Carter at 2, Josh Connerly. If somehow Josh Connerly's at 33, I will cream my pants. Then at 67, Jalen Royals, the Utah State wide receiver. Kobe Bryant, the corner from Kansas. Will Howard, the quarterback from Ohio State. Marcus Yarns, the home run threat from Delaware. Jamari Caldwell, the run stuffing defensive tackle. Malachi Moore can play in the slot play at safety. Rondé Gadsden, the more of a power slot tight end. Joshua Gray, played a little bit of left tackle, play some guard. I like Jaquavius Marks in the 6th round because he's already 24, but it is what it is. And then get a little bit of linebacker depth there at the end of that there. So that is it for episode 3. Episode 3.
3 or 4? I don't remember.
4?
We're already delirious, so
it's a challenge. We'll probably have a guest next week. So we can try. The PFF grades are hateful. I agree. They're very hateful. I don't like it. I like this. Sam's draft is just boring enough to be a true reflection of what to expect. Okay, but that's a football team that can, that's a football team that can run the ball though and be efficient with Shedeur at quarterback and a couple of home run hitting running backs and better offensive line.
We're gonna win 8 games so well.
For the rest of eternity.
We're gonna get that 16th overall pick, and it's gonna be awesome.
We will be stuck in what I like to call Jeff Fisher land.
Yes.
All right, guys, make sure you stay tuned in over to theobr.com. Check out all the written work. Got a player profile coming out, I believe, tomorrow on Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan. So you want to check that out. We got a bunch of film cut up for that. But anyway, for Sam Penix, I'm Jacob Roach. Well, thank you for tuning in to the OBR. We will see you guys again next time. And then I hit this.